Oh my God, I'm not sure I can even say, because I think it was sort of always. Always a political junkie from a very, very young age. I think my first memory in life, period, is election night 1968. I was 3. My dad was actually a professor of politics, Chinese politics, and my mom was more involved in American politics. So she was a speechwriter. So her first job was with Adlai Stevenson when he was U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, and then she wrote for Hubert Humphrey during the 1968 presidential election, and then she was deeply involved in politics in Massachusetts, which is where I grew up. Yeah, I guess like maybe when I was much younger, I mean, every little kid, I want to be president or something like that, but I found I enjoyed, if you would have asked me, I wouldn't have said that I would have become a professor. That sort of dawned on me very late in life. Or even someone in the media covering politics. I would have thought I would be involved more in the campaign manager side, running campaigns. And I've ended up being more an observer, either from the media perch or the academic perch. Yeah, so I'm not on campus here, so I'm not sure what the level of energy is on campus here. And also, I have to be careful how I say that, California doesn't matter, right? California is not a battleground state. We know how California is going to go in the presidential election. But my sense is that this, and although I was not here and you weren't here, that it would have been a very different feeling here on campus in 2008, where once again, California wasn't in play, but I bet you had USF students going to volunteer in Nevada and other places. And I wonder if you're going to see that same level of energy or engagement this year. So far, I don't see it. And that's going to be one of the big puzzles in this election. There's definitely been a changing face of the American electorate, which is very obvious in a place like California, where the percent of non-white voters has increased, the percent of white voters has decreased. And I think there's little chance of young voters or non-white voters voting for Donald J. Trump in droves. But the question is, are they going to come out at the same levels that they came out for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012? I think that the same issues that are important to everybody are and should be important to millennials. Different generations might have some different parochial interests, but the big challenges facing this country, I think, span the generations. Although millennials may have to worry about it for longer. I think the core questions of the economy, national security, the environment are ones that should concern everybody. Yeah, so I think there's this notion, and I taught the campaigns and elections class last spring, and many of the younger students, whether they were Cal students or Michigan students or USF students, not as many Notre Dame students, were big Bernie fans. It's difficult when your first love in politics loses, right? It was the thing that got them involved, and I think they took the loss. I think they took the loss hard. Do I think they're going to go vote for Donald Trump? No. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether they turn out to vote or are engaged. The notion, though, that Bernie Sanders would be doing significantly better than Hillary Clinton, I'm not so sure about that. And I always have to be very careful about how I said this to students who, they can be fans of Bernie Sanders, and I absolutely make no judgments in class about who you're voting for in Democratic primary or Republican primary, Democrat or Republican. But it was unambiguously the case that Sanders' record and Sanders himself was never given the same scrutiny, and he wasn't attacked or communicated about to the same extent that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were. And so so Hillary didn't go negative on Sanders. A little bit in debates, a little bit in speeches, but kid glove stuff. In a general election, Bernie Sanders would have been the focus of a couple $100 million worth of negative ads, and that probably would have had an impact. And I think Bernie was sort of like a Rorschach test for students. He was whatever they wanted him to be. And he wasn't Hillary, and he was anti-establishment.